just talked about some successes I've had, but frankly, I had the darkest days of my life leaving hockey. My girlfriend at the time, her family, my family, everyone, I mean, they witnessed it. It was a dark time. So it was good to have that there. But at the end of the day, I had an identity that was tied to something that I was no longer doing anymore. And due to that, it's you kind of do one of these things, right? And I wasn't ready to accept it. And it took a few years, actually, probably more like, 2 years for me to get to a point where I could watch hockey again, to be completely honest. I couldn't watch it.
Cool. We are live. Tom, welcome. We got Nic Kerdiles. Nic, how are you, brother?
Good, Bob. How you guys doing?
Very good. Very good. So welcome. Obviously, this is Pucks to Properties podcast brought to you by REVA Global, the premier virtual assistant service company out there. We're excited today because we got Nic from Nashville. He's got a great story. He's in real estate, played in the NHL for how many games? 3 games?
Hot minute. Had a cup of coffee up there.
Hey,
played
dude,
7 games.
That's more than me. I had 1 exhibition game, so you're ahead. You're ahead of me. But we all end up. Guess what? We all end up in the same place. Either it's real estate or men's league. So we're all in the same boat. So Tom, purpose of the podcast. What is it, Tom?
To give back. We are putting a platform together for guys that are getting out of the game and are now in this business, and just showing them there's light at the end of the tunnel. And you guys have 2 more NHL games than I ever played, so I'm envious of you. I want to know what it was like. I want to hear all about it, even if it was if you were up there for a couple of hours. So it's a little bit closer than I ever got. But all kidding aside, this is something that Bob and I started a few months ago to kind of give back to the game and help network and grow our brand and reach out to guys nationwide. We're doing business in like 13 states right now, so most of the states we're in have either an NHL team, an AHL team, a coast team. So if you could do a deal with a buddy or someone and kind of help each other out, that's kind of what this is about. But also to kind of give back and show guys that the transition from the locker room into the business world, whether it be real estate or anything else, it's not that hard if you know the right people and you have a good team supporting you. So that's kind of where we're at.
Very nice. Very nice. And Nic, and I know we talked a little bit before about a deal you made $150,000 on, so we'll definitely dig into that in a second. But just to add to what Tom said, the purpose of this, I know all of us went through, a little bit of a lull, we could call it a depression or whatever after we played professional sports, because this shit ain't easy. The transition is actually very difficult, which we'll ask you, Nic, because obviously looks like you've done a very, very good transition. I know there's probably some hardship in between, which we will get to as well. But again, thank you for jumping in. Like I said, you played hockey. You're in the U.S. National Development Team. You played at Wisconsin for 2 years. You got drafted 2nd round. You played for Norfolk for 2 years. You played San Diego Gulls, Anaheim, back to San Diego, Anaheim, and the good old Manitoba Moose.
Good old Manitoba Moose, man. That place is cold. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
It is cold. I remember when I played in the IHL back in the day. We went up there. The snow was over your head, and it was below 0, freezing. But without further ado, Nic, give us a 2-second rundown. I know it told a little bit about you. Give us a 2-second rundown of how you got where you got.
Yeah. So, originally from California, kind of backstory. I have some French descent as well. I lived in France for a little bit, but really grew up in California. Just had a neighbor who played roller hockey. I was like, what is this sport? Got into it. There's no background of hockey in my family. And really just kind of followed through with that. I was the worst player on the team by far when I started, and just worked really hard. Eventually got to a point where I got, like you said, recruited to the national team development program. And Ann Arbor, played there for a couple of years. Got drafted by the Anaheim Ducks, my hometown team, in the 2nd round back in 2012, which was an incredible moment. And then played at Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin, for 2 years, and then kind of jumped up and down from the NHL and the minor leagues, and never really made it up in the NHL too long, but had a cup of coffee, like I said, and got to experience some really cool things and meet some really cool guys that, you know, I didn't realize at the time, but those relationships that I had made at the time really have helped me get to where I am now after hockey and my real estate career. So yeah, here I am, real estate agent, investor, entrepreneur. I've done some different things outside of real estate too. In my last, 3 years since being retired from hockey. But yeah, so now I'm here in Nashville, like you said, doing real estate primarily, and I love it here. I mean, it's getting cold here right now, but it's probably, like I said, nothing like Winnipeg when I lived there for a year. So
yeah. All right, so let's break that down. Obviously, there's a lot impactful there. So you went to Wisconsin for 2 years, I saw, and obviously you signed with was it with the Ducks that you signed with?
Yeah,
first?
so I signed a 3-year entry level deal with the Ducks, and at the time the team was the Norfolk Admirals, their minor league team. So I went there my first year, and then after that they actually transitioned the minor league team over to San Diego, and so from there that's
not a bad transition right there, San Diego.
Man, I'll take it. I'll tell you that. That's probably one of my favorite places to live. I'd say top two. I mean, it's probably Nashville and San Diego are my two favorite places. I lived on the beach. Literally, I was a house. I was in the garage. I lived above the garage in a little 1-bedroom apartment right off the beach. So I'd go to practice.
Was that Pacific Beach? Were you at PB?
It was actually Mission Beach, but it was Pacific Beach, Mission Beach. They're right there. They're connected, right? Yep. So I'd go to practice, come home, 11, 12, whatever it might be, and then I just go hit the rollerblades or bike or just hang out at the beach all day.
Oh, tough life. That place is gorgeous. I used to be there. So I was with a company called Fortune Village for a long time. So it's a education platform company. They also invest as well. So I was there back and forth probably 4 or 5 times a year. That place is absolutely gorgeous. Phenomenal.
It is. So the weather's perfect.
So hey, what did you study? It's just curious. Obviously, I went to BU. I left early just like you did, but not as early. And I went there. I didn't really take school too seriously. Did you take school seriously or not seriously?
So I'd say I took it seriously to the extent that I just didn't like getting bad grades, but I don't think I had really any clear direction on where I wanted to go in my past hockey. Because again, like you talked about, we're talking about this transition from hockey to after hockey. When you're in that mindset, you're second round draft pick, you're like, I'm going to be in the NHL 20 years, making millions and millions of dollars. And then you realize it's not that simple. You've got a lot of different factors, whether it be injuries and all those different things that could happen. So I studied personal finance, but really just did more of my prerequisites and stuff like that in the very beginning. I never really got into it. I worked hard.
Did you go back though?
No, I didn't go back. I don't want to knock down education by any means. I think education is super important, but I think also the career path. I from hockey, I don't think I could be somebody who sits in an office all day working for somebody else. It was just entrepreneur minded, and I wanted to do my own thing. And I think that real estate was what kind of fell into my lap, and in that direction, I was like, I don't think I need school, in my opinion, for that. I can do classes and things like that will help me with that, but I didn't need to have my degree, in my opinion, at the time.
Yeah, no, I had the same opinion as you. I mean, I don't think that's why this industry is so, in my opinion, incredible, because there's no barrier of entry, right? You don't need a college degree. You could go from junior hockey, you could go from college. It doesn't matter. It's the same shit, right? All funnels to the same area.
Absolutely.
So your transition, did you, you said you're an entrepreneur. Did you start doing or running business or doing real estate while you played? Like, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So kind of what, so my big thing was concussions. So I stopped playing hockey because of concussions. I had 10 major concussions, and I got diagnosed. And at that point I figured, I got to stop. But the last year I was here in Nashville, actually, I decided to get my real estate license because I had a feeling that if I had one more, it could be bad, right? And that could be the end of it. So I got my license this summer, where I got traded from Anaheim to Winnipeg, or I signed in Winnipeg, I should say. Actually I got traded and signed, but so I got my real estate license just to be prepared. And I don't know if I jinxed it or what, but I think it was training camp, or right after training camp, I had a concussion right off the bat. And I was just like, all right, I mean, I'll get a concussion just, turning my neck at this point. So I got to stop. And so that made the transition a little bit easier for me to have a license and ready to go as soon as I got back home. And then I got right into it.
Yep. Cool. And you're also, we're on a TV show for a bit. Is that right?
Yeah. I was on a TV show for a little bit. My past relationship, we they're on TV and stuff like that. So I think it helped, I grew a following through all that stuff too. And, at the end of the day, social media plays a big role in society today in terms of using it for business, and reaching out to people and having that reach allows you to gain traction a little faster. And so because of that, it was easy for me to say, hey guys, I'm in real estate, let me help you buy and sell a home. And that's what helped me kind of propel to doing about, it was 12 million my first year in real estate.
Nice. Love it.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't know any of that. I reached out to you because you're a hockey player who's now in real estate. So that's me being proof. Had no idea until just now.
I love that. No, that's awesome. You got it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, like, I think we're in a world today where, whatever resources you obtain in your life, it's about using them the right way. And that's kind of what you got to do. So, I had a following and things like that, and I use that to my advantage, and just try to set my goals quicker.
Yeah. One of the takeaways I want everyone to really listen to is, your safety net, you knew, right, after X amount of concussions. So now you started seeing light that there was something that was going to happen after hockey. You couldn't really say, all right, I'm going to make the NHL and just that's going to support me for the rest of my life, right? So it was great that you actually got your real estate license. So a big takeaway is we all should look at having something else there. I'm a big, when I look at different businesses, right, it's like a three-legged stool. If one of the legs are off, you're kind of wavering back and forth. Same thing as a professional athlete. You got to understand that, we're always one injury away from being, what the hell are we going to do next? Right.
Yeah.
You have a contract. Great thing about hockey is you do have guaranteed contracts, right? Some sports, there's no guarantees, right? But that contract ends and there's something that you have to prepare for. You have to do something after. So for you, it was real estate. So let's talk about, when you finally got that last concussion, what went through your mind? Did you think, what the hell am I going to do? Or let's go through what was going through mentally.
I mean, this podcast is probably all about being transparent, and I'm a transparent person. Yep. Like, I just talked about some successes I've had, but frankly, I had the darkest days of my life leaving hockey. My girlfriend at the time, her family, my family, everyone, I mean, they witnessed it. It was a dark time. So it was good to have that there. But at the end of the day, I had an identity that was tied to something that I was no longer doing anymore. And due to that, it's you kind of do one of these things, right? And I wasn't ready to accept it, and it took a few years, actually, probably more like 2 years for me to get to a point where I could watch hockey again. To be completely honest, I couldn't watch it, and so the transition was tough. I just put my head down and really just started figuring out I got to make money. I think my attitude was probably the thing that people noticed the most, that I was not happy. I was struggling with something, but I'm somebody that I know I got to make money. So I'm going to hustle my butt off and do whatever I need to make money. But I wasn't really happy at the time because I was still struggling with something. So between therapy, between, a good support group and family and love, I got to a point where I accepted, who Nic Kerdiles was. And that's when my business really started to flourish and get to where it was. But it's not an easy transition. My recommendation, my advice is prepare yourself, whether that be investing while you're playing, and to having somebody you trust that can help you invest in different things, whether it be real estate, stocks, whatever it is, and then also prepare yourself so when you think you're getting towards the latter part of your career, to know what are the things that you're going to want to get into potentially, because it's easy to spend the money that you make, especially if you're in the NHL, probably, and you're making a ton of money. That lifestyle that you're living, that lifestyle, you might be able to sustain for a little bit right after you play, but unless you start making money again, you're not going to sustain that for the rest of your life. So investing correctly, and then also having a plan of attack of a different direction that you want to go in after hockey is my advice, honestly.
Yep. No, and that's great advice, because money does runs out no matter which way you look at it. It's even, even if you got the Sidney Crosbys of the world, right? I mean, let's not use him, but he could probably have a pile of money that could last forever. However, if the way you spend today doesn't change, no matter what, it will run out, right? Mm-hmm. I maybe using Sidney Crosby is a wrong example, but you get my point. It does run out, and that's important to look at. And kudos to you, dude, for obviously fighting through those dark days, because we all had them. Some of us a little different, but we talk about this a lot our identity is tied to the sport. I don't care what anybody says. You walk into the rink, you're the man. You walk into the bar, you're the man, right? But once it's done, the lights are out, you're not the man anymore. It's like, who the hell is Nick? Who's Tom? Who's Bob? It doesn't matter what level you're at. That is the truth. And the challenge with all of us is we do wrap everything we are into that one sport. A lot of us do. Maybe 90%, maybe 10% don't. I don't know. But I know I went through a lot of the same stuff. And it's tough. That transition is very, very difficult, right? Very difficult.
Absolutely. It's extremely difficult. And like you said, just about every hockey player that I've talked to that has had to retire early or, had an expectation to play forever or whatever until they're 40 years old, they all go through something similar, some worse than others, but it's just common. Identity is a very big part of your mental health and how you enjoy life and things like that. So it's tough. You got to the best thing you can do is really have an identity built on yourself as a person and your morals and your ethics and all those different things, in my opinion. Much easier said than done when you're playing a sport, but yes, you're 100% right.
I like that. So let's talk a little bit about, so once you got over, or while you're going through this, you still were tying, now your next identity, you were trying to tie to real estate. Is that correct?
Yep. So go ahead.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So got into real estate. I mean, really, I don't think that I had any passion towards real estate before I ever really started getting into it. But I did enjoy the real estate, and I did watch it a little bit. And then my girlfriend's family at the time, they're very much into real estate as well, and kind of helped guide me and mentor me into it. So it was a perfect avenue for me. And like I said, was successful at it from the very beginning in terms of getting some good traction. And the hockey in me, the work ethic, I wanted to build more things and more things. And then the entrepreneur side of me was like, okay, what else can I build another big business? And so I got into a business with a partner at the time where we were creating luxury window and doors. And so we started that business, and unfortunately, it was very successful, but it didn't last, between the partnership. And so we went our own separate ways. But I really was driven to try to create something big. And so I focused back on real estate, and I said, why not just do it in real estate? And so I've really been working on building a team, and I just recently got my broker's license as well. And so the plan for me here is really build a strong team, and then from there build my own firm eventually in the future. So I've got some big plans, and whether they happen or not, I think having goals and a plan in place is what kind of gets you up every morning and gets you that motivation to get things done.
No, I love it. So what is your drive every day? Right now you had to change your focus, right?
Yep.
You had back in the day, it was obviously hockey. So what are your goals and your big plan? What drives you every day? Because you said, all right, now I have big plans. So there's something that I think is innate in all of us hockey players, right? We have that drive that other people don't have. And I'm a firm believer. Tom and I talk about this all the time. There's just that thing that's very difficult to explain, but is inside you. So what is that for you?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't want to tie everything. Like, I don't tie success to money. And that's something I try to have a clear delineation on. It's success and money. They're not the same thing. So money comes with success for sure. Sometimes, more times than not, but I want to be successful. And that's a very broad statement. And success to me comes from business, it comes from relationships, it comes from family. And I want to be in a situation where I build something. So I want to build a business. And like I said, I'm focused on real estate here. I'm focused on building a team. We want to hit our numbers, whether it be a team that, hits $100 million a year. I did 30 million. I did right over 30 million myself last year. Last year. And now I'm trying to bring on a couple agents to push that to 55 million and whatnot. And so that's one section for me. The other part is relationships. I want to build a good reputation in town. I want to, build meaningful relationships, network with people, because frankly, networking with people and meeting people is what's going to help drive your business up too. If you just have a small group and all that stuff, you're really just going to be, stuck in that area. And then the other one is I want to grow a family. I mean, that's super important to me. I want to, find a very meaningful relationship where we can move on to the next step and have a family, have kids, and do all that stuff. So that's kind of like my life plan right now. It's pretty broad. Those are the things I'm trying to hit.
Yeah, but use the word 3 different times: building.
Yeah.
Building, right? It's so now you put your focus on building something and hitting numbers and reaching goals. Pretty interesting. It's same stuff you did in hockey back in the day, right?
Exactly.
You're building yourself, you're building your stats, you're building your shot, you're building like your speed, everything. It's always about building. It's pretty interesting you said that on a number of different occasions. Let's talk about how you got into investing, because you were talking about a pretty cool deal. You got your real estate license, and talk a little bit about, because being a realtor is different than being an investor, right? You have your lens is, all right, I'm just going to buy somebody a retail house, right? Or I'm going to move a new homeowner into this property. Investing side is, all right, how could I be successful monetarily? Because investing, you're looking to invest to make money. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. And so I think this later part of the year, I've kind of focused more on my investing, and I've invested over the last couple of years, but yes, those are two different things. You know, my job here is to go and help people buy and sell their homes and find them their dream homes. And I get a lot of satisfaction from that, because I love seeing the reactions of them when they, you know, get to sign the paperwork and they're truly happy that this is their new home. I mean, listen, that's the biggest investment in their life every day. So that is incredible. I love that's a good way I have meaningful relationships with people and build trust with them. The other side of it is the investing side of it. And because I really believe in passive income. Okay. I think passive income is one of the greatest things you can do for your stress. Okay, because if you can invest some of your money rather than let it sit in a bank account, and then put it into something that's actually making you money every single year or every single month, whether it be passive income or over time the appreciation of that asset, it helps remove stress, and it also actually builds that net worth. Right, that's building. You're making other people pay for your properties. And so, yes, I've done a couple different deals myself. I own a few Airbnbs right now. I recently flipped an Airbnb that it's kind of an interesting story. It wasn't my plan to, but met with a developer who was selling off some units for a bigger project. And the number he gave me, I thought was very attractive. And I knew that I could, knowing the market and the Airbnb market, I knew that I could probably turn it on pretty quickly if I needed to, and it would cash flow pretty well. So I bought it for about $925, and then a couple of weeks later, after we closed on it, got an unsolicited offer for $1,075,000. So within 2 weeks, that's $150K gain right there. And instead of, you know, getting hit with, you know, the quick capital gains on that, I decided to put it in a 1031 exchange account, and now I'm looking for property. I'm leaving to Florida tomorrow to go look for property out there, and I'll just reinvest that into something else. And so there's a lot of opportunity to, you put in the stock market. That's great. I'm not, crapping on the stock market right now, but we can see what the stock market's doing. I don't believe in the stock market right now at this moment, so I'm putting it in real estate. And
hey, I agree with you. So you're in a good.
I've got money tied in the stock market right now. I'm not too happy about, but it'll change. But yeah, the Airbnb market here is something that I've really took a big liking to, because I bought some properties that I've got a mortgage of about $3,000 a month right now, and I've had months where they've done $18,000 a month. And so it's not to brag, but it's just to show you that investing your money in the right assets is going to really give you that passive income that, if you're having a slow month, if you're, self-employed and you're having a slow month, just knowing that you have that extra income coming in on the side is going to help you a lot and give you some relief.
And yeah, I want to dig into that because peace of mind is huge, right? So I know when I first retired, I door knocked from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Monday through Friday on houses that people were losing their house. There's pre-foreclosures, and this is back in 2004. And guess what? There were months where you made no money. Part of the game, right? So to your point, I think the great takeaway is for everybody that's listening, passive income. What Nick's talking about is buying a property, let someone else pay the mortgage, and you make the difference between the mortgage and what their rent is. So I think the huge takeaway there is that gives you a huge peace of mind. When you start investing while you play, you're going to be 10 times better off, because you will go through that lull trying to figure out, whether you get into real estate, whether you get into being I don't know, in the financial industry, whatever industry you're going to get into, there's going to be a lull where you're going to make, little money. So, and this happens all the time. And for those of you that are married as well, your wife's expenses or your whatever's expenses, they have to readjust too. It's just how it is. Their lifestyle is whatever it is. And if you want to keep her or you want to make sure that in the end that you don't want to change anything in your life, it's a great offset for part of that too, along with peace of mind. I know I'm going off on a tangent, Nick, but I'm sure you've seen exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I think 100%. I completely agree with you. I think another thing to think about when you're making good money is that people who tend to make a lot of money, like that'll make money, and they see the money like, oh, I can spend this money, right? But imagine if you just had this game plan of like, okay, I'm going to make some money here, and I'm going to invest this little portion every time, every month, whatever it be. I'm going to invest that. So it seems like I never have it, but really you do have it because it's going to be making money for you. But really, now all you're working with is a smaller pot that I'm sure you can still have a great lifestyle with and live within those means. As soon as those means kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger, that's what you get used to. And so when it starts to do this, as times change or you're having a rough month, you're stressed out, you're freaked out, but just try to keep it somewhat, attainable and manageable while taking that money that's coming in every month and just investing it, forgetting about that money and let that money work for you. And I promise you, that's going to help you so much with stress. It's going to prevent you from, trying to live outside of your means and just give you that little, that little money in that back pocket that you'll always have if something bad happens. So that's my
nice piece
on it.
I agree. I love it. Tom, what do you got? I know you got a couple questions there.
Yeah, I got a few notes here. I think the biggest takeaway for me was admiring the fact that you were kind of thinking about life after hockey while still playing. And I think that, I guess my question to you is how, at that level, I mean, you just got traded from the Ducks to Winnipeg, just signed a new contract, 1-year deal, I'm assuming.
Yep.
One of those things where at that level, like I wasn't thinking about it in the coast, the American, or like I was in the American League for a bit, not long, but I was a coast guy. I played over 500 games, went overseas, played over there for a little bit. And I wasn't even thinking about life after hockey at that level. I guess my question is how did you balance the pressure of being on an NHL contract, but also, I don't want to say having one foot out the door, but kind of thinking about the next step? Because at my level, I was tunnel vision. I can't even imagine what it was like for you being at that level. It's the highest level in the world. So how did you kind of balance both and accept, I don't want to say accept, but keep the separation, for yourself?
Yeah, I think, and that's a fine line because, like you said, having one foot out the door, I think I had to become a little bit more realistic because I started taking my health seriously. For me, it was my health. It wasn't my performance. It wasn't thinking like, oh, these kids are faster than me, this and that. For me, it was just my health. So I said, my health comes first, and I'm finally realizing it. So I have to start thinking about what's next. And for me, it took me 2 weeks to get my real estate license. It was take the class, take the test, pass it, and boom, it's done with. And I'm going to have it in my back pocket. That's why it wasn't too much of a distraction to me in terms of getting my real estate license. I put that in my back pocket. I said, there you go. You got some safety. And now let's focus on hockey again and really just let's go see what happens. It is hard knowing that you're probably at the tail end of it because you're one concussion away. And I've kind of told myself that. The doctors have told me that. And I probably did start playing a little bit more scared. And the last concussion I got was because of that. When I look back at it and I think about it. So the balance of it, I don't have the exact answer on that, but all I can say is that you would be, I don't know if ignorant is the right term for it, but I think it's wrong for you to take the realistic side and I guess it would be wrong for you to not call it for what it is. Okay. You're close to the end of your career and you're going to go ahead and risk your, just not admit, I don't know the right way to say this, and hopefully we can edit this part out, but you're going to oh man, I don't even know the right way to say it.
You're looking for face facts?
Yeah.
What you want to say is get your head out of your ass and look at reality, and show exactly what's going to happen.
You're going to screw yourself over by going ahead and saying, yeah, I'll take care of that whenever it happens. You know what's going to happen. You know you're getting close to it. So why would you do that? And then you're going to put yourself in a worse situation when that day actually happens. So face the facts. Say, okay, prepare yourself for what's going to happen in the future. And that way, whenever that does happen, if it does happen, you're ready to go and you have a game plan in place. Like, don't be ignorant. Like, just fucking call it for what it is, what I'm trying to say. No,
Love it.
And so, yeah, that was kind of my 2 cents on it. It's just like, all right, call it for what it is. I know I need to have a backup plan. That way I'm not overly stressed, even though I was still somewhat stressed. And then let's get back to work and, try to have a long career.
And Nick, that just to add to that, and you were preparing and you still went through that lull. Like that's what everyone has to understand, which is a great thing that you even got your license before and you started preparing, still went through a lull, but then when you were out of it, now you're here. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's the best takeaway is, I mean, you're a perfect example of it, right? I mean, I went through this, similar stuff. Tom, same thing, because that transition is very difficult, but you still had a plan, even though you did go through that little kind of dark place, right?
Yep.
Very, very important. Tom, keep going. Sorry about that. I'm going to interrupt you on that one.
No, it's okay. So let's talk about Compass. You're with Compass now?
Yep, I'm with Compass. Yep.
Obviously big name brokerage, luxury, sexy. Did you ever go the mom and pop route before you went with them?
No, so my route was actually I went with Sotheby's, and for me, I really tried focusing on the luxury, the luxury, big name, global presence, and I had a broker in Atlanta who really told me a lot about Sotheby's, introduced me with them, and I enjoyed it and had good conversation. So I joined the local Sotheby's here. I was there for a year, got approached by Compass, and Compass wanted me to come join their team or their brokerage and start something there. And they got me to move over there. And the reason why I did do it is because I felt like it was the new thing. And I feel like it is today. It's very modern. It's luxurious. It's forward thinking. The technology is great. And it just kind of fit the brand that I was trying to build. I'm a younger guy as well, too. And sometimes you're not taken serious in real estate when you're a little younger and inexperienced. So that's why I made the move. And also another big part about it is I was approached by the sports and entertainment division of Compass, where they pick a few different agents in different markets that really tailor to athletes, entertainers, celebrities, things like that. They understand the nuances with working with people of that nature because of privacy, security, and just I guess the best. And I've worked with a lot of athletes. Thanks to also CAA, my agency that's local here, they've connected me with football, baseball, hockey players. But I understand what it takes to be a pro athlete and the moving. You can move in a heartbeat, you can get traded in a heartbeat, and all those different things, and not knowing the different areas. So, and me being in it had allowed me to connect with them on that piece. And so the sports and entertainment division was also another big draw for me to move over to Compass. So Compass really just offered a lot of the different points I was looking for.
Well, that's huge. I think, was it Brett Beebe that we had one of the last ones? Do you know Brett?
Yeah, I know Brett really well. Yeah, he's a little older than me, but we knew each other. We know each other very well.
Pretty cool. Yeah, he's with Compass as well. I think he does some of the sports entertainment stuff, right? Division out in California. Pretty cool. So, I mean, the takeaway there too is obviously network. The network in the hockey community is big, in the sports community is big. So, a great way to use it is obviously with Compass, they have a network as well, obviously with our hockey community. But one of the other takeaways too is, when you're successful in anything, you are going to be approached to be taken over or to have the opportunity to do something bigger, better as well. So obviously that happened with Sotheby's to obviously Compass. So great job there in knowing what you wanted, because luxury is a little different beast than lower level, right? You're dealing with different people, higher end expectations, et cetera, et cetera. I do want to give you a nice comment. Nashcap.com. Very nice site, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it. A little play on words. Nic Kerdiles, NK, Nashville, Capital. And part of the reason I did that too is because I work with a lot of investors, and there's a couple, instances where I've helped raise some capital to go ahead and make some purchases on some investment properties, and that's kind of the play on words with that. But thank you. Yeah, you guys should check it out. Nashcap.com.
Yep. NASHKAP.com. Definitely check it out. And great idea too, especially raising capital in I'm assuming let's talk about that a little bit, because that's another way for you to make money. So you're raising capital for what? So let's just give yourself a little pitch and plug.
So, obviously as a real estate agent, you get paid on bringing deals to people, but also there's some people that want to be super passive and silent investors, right? They don't want to be in the day to day. So, again, going back to Airbnb, I know I harp on the Airbnb a lot. That is an area that I've raised capital for before. And they don't want to deal with having to manage, guests and doing that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And so if I can get a couple different investors in on a deal, because Airbnbs aren't cheap here in Nashville. You want to get a good 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom rooftop deck, downtown views, you're spending 1.2 million to 1.5, depending on, where the property's at and some of the finishes of the property. But, these guys don't want to deal with it. So they're like, all right, well, let's see the numbers, right? So I'm going to raise the money, find them a good opportunity, have my short-term rental manager in place to go ahead and really run the whole thing. So, raising capital, there's people that have a lot of money out there that also just want a place to put it. And that's why a lot of people raise capital. And, I've been successful in doing it a few times, but very on a smaller level that I want to try to expand on.
So then just taking that to the next step. So you own a piece of the project, obviously, by raising all the capital. Everyone owns a piece of the project. So that's a great way, again, to make passive income. Of course, there's a management behind it, but the opportunity for us hockey players is there are hockey players that make a lot of money and use your network to be able to bring that opportunity.
Exactly. And there's a good buddy of mine who is very well connected with the hockey network and helps with like the concierge side of things with hockey players, getting tickets for things and whatnot, and booking flights and whatnot. But he is doing that exact same thing, and he's using my knowledge here to help, and we partner together in terms of raising capital.
It's not Nate, is it?
Sorry?
It's not Nate Thompson, is it?
No, it's not. His name's Cooper. Yeah, but I know Nate very well too. So
he's coming. Bob, he's coming on 2 weeks.
Yeah, perfect. Nate's got a great story, and listen, not to get too personal here, but I dealt with some alcoholism, and I know he's had his fair share of stuff too. And we were in a group together, and Nate's incredible, man. That guy, he's somebody to look up to for sure, and he's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah. And Nick, I just want to thank you for being open, seriously, because this is, and just what you just said, and the individuals that we're talking to and who we interview, it's a small world, right? The hockey world is small. It's a tight community. And you just brought up a couple individuals that you just said, hey, we help each other, right? No matter what. So it's pretty cool. The hockey world is a great community, I do have to say. So
yeah, and they stick together. they're just, even after I don't play anymore. Nate, where Nate's situation is with him right now, but the group had a bunch of different guys, from ex-guys, current guys, and it doesn't change. When you leave the locker room, it doesn't change. The community is still there, and that's super cool.
Yeah, that's great. Tom, any other parting? I know we're coming up on 36 minutes, so we want to make sure we keep it tight. Any last question?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with this. So, same question we ask everybody. Why do you think hockey players are so good in the real estate business? Why do you think that transition is, I don't want to say it's sink or swim, but it's like that, that FD mentality, that competition, the grind, the work ethic. Obviously, I know what your answer is going to be, but, I always put it out there and see what you have to say about it.
And I'll try not to make it too obvious of what the answer is going to be here, but hockey players, they're interesting characters. And I think, looking at other athletes, hanging out with other athletes, there's something different about a hockey player and their work ethic and their attitude and their hunger, their competitiveness. You can fight with somebody just because you're so angry and you want to win, and then you can go have a beer with that guy right after the game too, right? So it's just that we're different characters. And why are they successful in the real estate world? I think they're successful in anything that has to do with sales. Medical sales, things like that. They're incredible at too, because they just want to pull the biggest numbers. They want to win. They want to win the deal. And real estate's the same thing. I think hockey players, you'll hear a lot as well. They're very, fans will be like, oh my God, hockey players are so nice. They're so kind, while other people might be a little bit more pushy off. And I'm not trying to be an asshole to, other athletes, but you're so approachable and whatnot. In real estate, you have to be approachable. You have to be able to connect with others. And when you get stuck with being an athlete, sometimes some people are just they become very private. But I think hockey players have the tendency to be more approachable. And I think the ability to be approachable with others, and also that drive, competitiveness, and work ethic is kind of the driving factors that make hockey players successful in the real estate world too.
Very nice. Love it. Great answer. And just some takeaways. I just took some notes on this.
Yeah.
And this is important. Great. And first of all, thank you again, Nick, for taking the time in your day. I know you're busy down there in Nashville. Some of the things that we want everyone to take note of is always think about, and I know it's tough because we're so focused on being an athlete. And when you get too kind of sidetracked on something else, it could take your focus away of hitting that goal. But hockey doesn't last forever. Yep. So everyone always has to start thinking it. So in the summertime, read books, maybe, go get your real estate license, right? It can't hurt to get your real estate license to see what's next and to learn something. But one of the things that I love this quote, hockey players want to win. That's a separation. We do want to win and be approachable. So those two things, some great takeaways there. And passive income, invest passively. So those are two of the takeaways, and work ethic as well, and give you kudos as well for going through that dark time and overcoming it, because we all do it. We all have to overcome. We got no choice. We got friends, families that we owe it to. So.
Yeah. And that's why when somebody goes through that, another hockey player will go through that, another athlete will go through that. It's normal. It sucks to say it's normal, but it is normal. Yep. And everyone goes through it in a different way, and just know there is light at the end of the tunnel. Talk to people, have the support system in place, and you'll be just fine.
Love it. Nick, thank you very much. Tom, go ahead.
I love what you guys are doing.
Utilize this, tap into the PHPA, have guys see these episodes, subscribe, utilize this while they're still playing. Reach out to Nick, Bob, myself, whoever's on the show, just kind of someone played with someone that knows somebody that knows somebody. So it's one of those things where that's what we're trying to build here. And then hopefully this grows over the next, 5-10 years, whatever it is. And, it's an exciting thing we're trying to put together here. At least I think, because I wish something was like this was available when I was still playing to help me with that transition. So, Bob, what do you got?
Yeah. That's it. Nick, parting words.
Yeah, no, I like you said there. I mean, you guys, this will be very successful, what you guys are building here. I'm so happy you guys are doing it, because especially in a world where the digital side of things, social media, people are looking at podcasts and different YouTube videos. This will be super helpful to at least one person, and that makes a difference. And I know it'll be successful and hit a lot more than just one person. So I'm really proud of what you guys are doing, and I appreciate you guys having me on here as well. And thank you again for your time.
Awesome.